welcome back to Otaku no Video. As always, thank you very much for joining me for my review of The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, finally. This is the film of Haruhi that came out this year. It's basically a sequel to the TV show, and it is a self-contained story. Now, I'm not going to give you any spoilers here, so don't worry. You're not going to learn anything that'll spoil you in this review. I will say that the movie is definitely aimed more at existing Haruhi fans. If you haven't seen the TV show or read the books or what have you, I still think you can watch the movie and enjoy it. You're not going to be completely lost. And indeed, the movie spends some time early on establishing what the SOS Brigade is like and what the sort of situation is like. But it is certainly aimed more at existing fans. And there are a number of little references to stuff that happened already in Haruhi. And the animation overall is definitely Haruhi. It's definitely Kyoto Animation animation. Just as their shows are notable for very solid animation punctuated by sequences of fluid animation. The movie is exactly the same, just with more sequences of fluid animation and a bit more detail. That said, there's nothing new here. This doesn't have a significantly distinctive or different visual style. It doesn't look much more realistic, for example, than the TV series. It just has the budget for, animation sequences with more movement, shall we say. The direction is also on par with the TV show, though that's not a complaint. The TV show is stunningly well directed in terms of what it gets across, and sometimes what it gets across without saying anything. Though there are more quick cuts and quick shots in the movie. For those not familiar with sort of the costs of animation, every shot in an animated work requires at least a painted background, and usually at least one drawing of a character. So if you have a lot of quick cuts and quick shots, those are relatively expensive because you still have to draw all those backgrounds and the characters and so forth. So there's a preference to letting your shots count. Generally speaking, you're not going to see a lot of those quick cuts except in a movie where they have a higher budget. So clearly they have a higher budget here for the Haruhi movie, which is definitely set within the Haruhi universe, sort of, but that's a spoiler, so I'm not going to go any further into that. But that's a bit of a problem for me. To be honest, the movie felt a little constrained for me while I was watching it. All the action takes place in and around the same high school we're all used to, and while watching, I found myself wanting to go somewhere new and different, and not just another high school, not just, a new cafe around there, but it felt constrained. After watching 2 seasons of Haruhi plus this movie, I kind of wanted a little bit more elbow room. And maybe it's just me, but I don't know, it felt a little claustrophobic. There were also times where, honestly, I wanted Kyon to shut up. There's always been this balancing act in Haruhi that you get to see things from Kyon's perspective and hear his internal monologue. And sometimes he's working things out and he's kind of explaining things for you. And, the show always, or the creators always did a good job of balancing that up to this point. But I think the movie aired a little bit too much on the side of Kyon explaining things to you. There were several sequences where stuff's happening on screen, and I kind of wanted to watch that and put the pieces together by myself and figure it out and realize, oh, that's why that person's saying that thing, while Kyon is sitting there explaining these things to me. And that just kind of pulled me out of it a little bit and was just a little frustrating for me. And, them's the breaks. I do want to point out the music, which is a combination of reworked pieces from the TV series, as well as several classical pieces, most notably Debussy's Clair de Lune, which is used beautifully and hauntingly several times throughout the work. So this is certainly a Haruhi-like story, telling a complete self-contained story. I will say that it does say a few things about life and how to live. This isn't simply a straight adventure story. There's a bit of depth there. It's definitely worth pulling out of it. And I want to commend the folks at KyoAni for delving into those particular elements. Again, no spoilers there. It does appear to move the Haruhi universe forward in an important way. Though it remains to be seen if that'll stick. It's very easy for these things to kind of be one-offs, but who knows. So kudos to KyoAni for a beautiful and somewhat thought-provoking movie that is certainly well constructed and very effective in what it does. So those are my thoughts on the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. If you've seen it, want to talk about it, or otherwise want to talk about anime and manga, please stop by otakunovideo.net or shoot me an email. Would love to talk with you about this movie and lots of other cool anime and manga. So that's it for me. Until next time, may you always be protected by a time traveler, an esper, and an alien.